Dan Gjeldum, Guaranteed Rate. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me again. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is always such a pleasure. Most of you probably don't know that Dan and I honestly probably speak at least once a day, if not 2, 3, or 4 times a day.
Absolutely.
So I'm privileged enough to hear what's going on in the world of mortgages, interest rates, and all of that craziness, as well as the personal successes of his family life on a regular basis. But wanted to bring you back in. What challenges are you really seeing on the lending side of things for our buyers in this market?
I am still floored that buyers aren't pre-approved out looking for homes. I don't know how the agents with whom they're working are allowing them to not be pre-approved. Yeah. I don't understand how they think they can submit offers without being pre-approved. So that's always it's always surprised me anyways. I'm not even going to acknowledge that. That's not happening. I don't believe it. Yeah. It's like taking diabetic kids into a candy store. Yes.
I mean, until you really know what you can and can't do, it makes absolutely no sense. And it's not a good use of anybody's time, energy, and the level of expectation that you're setting for that prospective buyer.
Yeah. And it's really, it's hard for us when we have those initial conversations with people who have started looking or have started looking online at homes, because a lot of times I have to be the bearer of bad news, especially like in a condo situation. When we start talking, like they haven't figured in the HOA to their budget and what their expected payment's going to be. So a lot of times it's difficult conversations to have with them. And I really wish people would have those conversations earlier I'm happy to do those conversations whenever,
sure. But
knowing those kinds of things it truly makes everyone, and as an agent, your job easier, our job easier, right? And those things, it still boggles me that people aren't.
Well, and I agree with you. It's one of those things that, I mean, heck, you know it better than most. I send certain people to you that are probably 8 to 12 months out just to say, let's lay the groundwork. Let's take a look behind the curtain and let's let an expert say, if you really want to put yourself in the absolute best position possible, here are a few things that we can do to really put you in the greatest position. That's me advising for the betterment of the client. That's you advising for the betterment of the client. And the fact that people would stop that part of the process, it's beyond me. One of the things that I've noticed, and maybe you can kind of talk on this year, which has been quite interesting to me, is I feel like in general, we're seeing a lot of larger down payments. I mean, I felt like, especially in the condo realm, and once again, Dan can get loans done at all different down payment levels.
Yep.
But I do feel like we're writing a lot more contracts that are 20 to 25% than 5 to 10. Would you say you've seen some of that as well?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that speaks to the uncertainty that's been building up for a few years, right? There's people that, a lot of people, what's your lease situation like for the first time buyers? And they're like, well, we're on month to month. Well, it's kind of like, well, when did you go on that month to month? Was it 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Right? And they just have great landlords that don't want to lose a tenant.
Yep.
And I think that's more often the case, because people will say, I'm 8 to 12 months away from looking to purchase. But if they fit our first time home buyer programs, if they fit like things like that, you can attest they're all of a sudden like, holy cow, I can buy a place. And then they buy a place in 30 or 60 days.
Yeah. Okay. So as we know, not all, but a lot of our markets are uber competitive right now. We're dealing with a lot of multiple bids. Some of them are marginally heated and some of them are excessively so. What are the strategies that you're seeing and recommending for your clients to implement to try and put them in better positions?
So one of the things we use, our trade name for it is the power bid, right? We can get someone, bring them in and do a full credit underwrite as if they were under contract to purchase. We set a top end purchase price, what their down payment's going to be. And instead of a pre-approval, we're delivering a full mortgage commitment. Right?
Okay, I want to break this down for people because we need to talk in normal people talk. Prior to the power bid, you needed a property to submit a full application and get a full approval. Guaranteed Rate came forth with this idea of the power bid to be able to do that without a property, do a full application, get a full approval. So in theory, you're either submitting a contingency that's a lot more powerful, or we have some clients that are a little bit more into the risk of writing a cash offer subject to mortgage, which once again just puts them in a better position versus the however many other offers
Yeah,
they're
and
doing.
to the power bid side, when we talk about how to make your bid more appealing to a seller, the power bid is going to come with the standard conditions are appraisal, title, and insurance. A lot of buyers are waiving appraisals, right? They're going to get one, but they don't care what it says, essentially. So if we can deliver title and insurance only, that's huge because that's really right behind. I mean, that loan can close, technically it can close as fast as 8 days per the TRID rules that are established. And those are, long story short, mortgage rules that prevent people from closing too quickly so they don't somehow get taken advantage of in those 8 days. It allows them to close as quickly as possible, which could be great for a seller, especially if the seller needs to buy, if they have something else under contract.
So Dan personally saved one of my deals the other day. We were in a multiple bid. The property was vacant. We didn't have the highest offer. We didn't. But what we did have was we had, first and foremost, a great real estate team. And we were able to offer them an 18-day closing, which nobody else was able to touch. And that had value for the seller because it put them in the position that they wanted to do, and they didn't want to have the property anymore.
It's all about how we structure the deals for the buyers.
So realistically, we're going to put it out there. What is the shortest mortgage you have done in the last 12 months?
8 days.
That gives me anxiety.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, and those were people.
I'm going to stick to 14 to 18.
Yeah, 10 is a great number, right? 10's a round number. 15's a great number. But the 8-day ones, if the buyer's not ready to do that, it's a fire drill, and we'll do fire drills all day, right? But 8 days.
Whew. Yeah, that just, like I said, my blood pressure just went up thinking about it. We do it. We've done it. It's a big team effort.